Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your girl, Ransom, and I'm coming at you with a new episode today, and this one will be fun. We're getting into, like, Greek mythology, and... It's just like, continue. What camera do I look at? You're good. This is Elena. Elena, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
We ruined it.
No, go on.
Shit. I'm Elena. I'm very good friends. I love you to death. Fashion designer, artist, mythology enthusiast. I do a lot of things.
Your camera's here.
Oh, hello. It's so nice to meet you. Welcome in.
Yes. Welcome to the shop. Is there anything we can do for you? Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah. Did you get your fashion designer, Oracle? What else?
Oh yeah, I do the Oracle thing too. That's crazy.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
She does a lot, honestly, and she makes candles that like she'll channel specific deities or like all the stuff, and then you can light it, and even when the candle's done burning, you could still use the vessel, and like it's still as powerful as if there's wax in it. But this is Vybez Don't Lie, so welcome. Have you been watching the episodes?
I have been watching the episodes.
Did you enjoy me and Jen's?
I did.
I
love
so
you guys
good.
so much. You guys are so cute.
Oh, thanks. So I wanted, first, let's just recap. So me and Elena decided we were going to make a pact and do Ramadan. First time, we looked at all the rules, we looked at the times, and said, okay, we got this. We're just going to fast. We're going to reset our system, blah, blah, blah. Biggest thing for me was I was just going to let go of weed. Kind of turned into Lent. And then for you, you were letting go of tobacco.
I was letting go of everything, if I'm being honest. I was just going to go full on into it. No eating, no drinking, no smoking, no sex, nothing. I was going to be great.
Yeah, it sounded rough.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a nothing. I was just like, why would you do that to yourself? You gotta give yourself something.
Okra water at the end of the night and before I started the day at 4 a.m.
Why so early?
Because
did you eat beforehand?
Yeah.
Oh, you woke up? I couldn't wake up that early to do that. Nah, I was cool on it. I was like, 4 o'clock. That just seems so early to eat.
It doesn't work.
No.
I'm still thirsty when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, this did nothing for me.
You're like, yo. My whole thing with it was just like, I felt like it was just too late of the starting periods to actually eat dinner. It's like, I'd like to like be eaten by 6, and like they're starting at like 6:30, 6:45, and then it just kept getting later and later into the day, which I think it's now at like 7 or something. And I'm like, why would you want to start eating around that time? You should be like eating dessert and like calling it a day.
Yeah.
But how was that experience for you?
So it started off rough immediately because, no nicotine whatsoever, and that's what kind of killed me. And I forgot to wake up the day before to drink some water. Mm-hmm. So I woke up with really, really bad dry mouth. Then I couldn't smoke, and I couldn't eat anything. And I had to water my plants that morning, and I had a personal hatred against them for a little bit. And that was great.
Because they don't have to participate in Ramadan.
They don't have to participate. I can't make them participate.
No, they need the water. It's like you're drinking vicariously through them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Sonic was having a deal that day too.
Everything came out when Ramadan started. I was like, oh my god. Like, this one dispensary was like, whole store 70% off, and I was like, 70% off the entire store? All the things that I could do right now.
It's like, shit.
I was like,
can we quit now? No, because we're locked in.
No, and then I felt for you because it's like, I'm like, oh, roll a spliff, smoke a spliff, and then I'm like, oh, I guess that defeats the purpose of no consumption. So it's like, you can't really do that. So it's like, I pray for you.
I was praying too.
Yeah.
Heavily.
I'd say I broke once my cycle came. I was like, yeah, if I don't eat, like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, it's fine. As soon as it's over, start over. I think I fasted maybe like 2 more days, and after that it just was like on again, off again. And I was like, well, I just won't smoke weed.
I know, I really tried. I made it for like a week and a half before like my medical stuff started happening, and like it says that it's okay to not participate if it's like bad for your health. And And so I kind of had to take that, but I was so mad. My ego was bruised. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, there's so much happening. Like we said, like, you know, new addition to the family, moving, like the whole, you know, working and be working, all the stuff, fashion show, all of this stuff.
Everything happening all at once, because I guess that's what we asked for.
Yeah, we did. Well, and it was like, at the time when we were planning it, it was like, yeah, we got this, we're gonna do it. Look.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Just feel it. Just feel it.
We did. You know, we tried.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
We tried. The effort was there. But, okay.
Shout out to all the baddies who made it.
That part. Go team. Go team. So I was out of timeout. Fuck. But go team. Those who made it, good for you. You're strong. You're a strong one. But, okay, so last year we had started talking about, like, the Odyssey and, like, different tales and just, like, how it was pertaining to, like, the things that we were navigating. And it was the first time that I had learned about, like, Calypso being somebody who could, like, be on your team and, like, navigating the waters and all that stuff. So, like, can you tell... It's the simplest, I don't know, however you want to describe it, of like how that works first, and then we could kind of dive into like Calypso's Island. And
got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so trying to like put it into like more simpler terms without having to go into the whole like deep dive into it. Essentially, like the biggest part of why we have mythologies and why we have folklore and stories is because it's like this bigger thing that helps explain like human society, human culture, what the values were at the time. But the more research that I was kind of doing into it and just exploring people and talking, like these myths exist as kind of like a map for our own lives and the stories we find ourselves trapped in, because they are constant repeats. We might change the faces of some of the heroes and some of the monsters. We might change some of the tasks that we have to do, but they all kind of pertain to the same kind of like storyline and stuff like that.
For sure.
And so lately I have been coming across a lot of these different people, different clients that I work with that are going through these really like familiar kind of stories. Like they'll be telling me like what's going on in their life, some of the traumas that they're facing, the adversities, and I kind of like make little connections here and there of like, oh, I know this actually.
I heard this story play out
and
before.
like, you know, for you, for example, when you came to me with it, it was very much vindicative of the Odyssey. Another friend of mine is kind of going through the 12 labors of Heracles. I'm personally going through it's kind of like a little mix of like Cassandra of Troy and then the labyrinth of, you know, the priestess that nobody listens to because, you know, she's cursed, so that nobody believes her prophecies. And so I was going through that really hard time of trying to tell people like, hey, stuff's going on, like we need to prepare for this, or like you're not listening to me, this is not the end of this particular situation. Nobody listened until, you know, shit came crashing down really bad, and then having to cope with that, and then the labyrinth of just kind of being stuck in this like dark like underground thing, not really sure how to get out. But that's like one of the stories as well. You know, the fall of Troy and stuff like that was another for, you know, a few friends of ours, and the Trojan horse. It's like, oh, like if we actually like pay attention to these stories and we can start making these connections, it actually gives us a pretty good groundwork for how we can get ourselves out of particular situations so that we don't have to repeat the entirety of the story. Because sometimes we're only there to have certain lessons and then move on from it. Because usually after that, another story begins. But at least you're not doing a repeat of the Odyssey. You're not repeating a certain task over and over again. You're not losing someone, having to go get them over and over and over again. Just take your lessons, you thank the situation for what it is, and you skedaddle as best as you possibly can.
Fuck out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so, I mean, and that, like, I was, like, mind blown when you were first talking to me. You're like, yeah, it sounded like Calypso. Calypso's with you. And I'm like, what the fuck is Calypso? Like, what is Calypso? Because everybody, I think, thinks of Calypso from, what is it, Pirates of the Caribbean. And it's like, it's not a good representation of her. But, you know, so, like, explain Calypso's Island.
Okay. So for those that aren't very like aware of the Odyssey or just not really sure how it goes, Calypso, she is one of the bigger kind of like mountains to kind of climb over in the Odyssey. Odysseus went through his whole thing. He kind of got shat on, drowned a little bit, died a little bit, blinded a cyclops or two, whatever. And then he ends up, crashing again, because that is always a repeat of the story. Odysseus does something, crashes, lives, does it all over again. And he ends up finding himself on this island where there's a nymph there, Calypso. But the problem with this island is that it is protected by the gods. It is out of sight, out of mind for the mortal world. So you can potentially find your way on the island, but you can't get out unless they let you. And even then, the island's only open if the gods allow it to, and that's usually like a punishment of sorts, because you can't get help, there's no connection to anybody. I think Hermes is really the only one that like comes down to actually, check in on things every once in a while, but it's a prison. It's an isolation. And Calypso, falls in love with Odysseus, and she keeps him there. And depending on which version of the story you read, because, we have Homer, but we also have all these different kinds of translations, we have all these different rewrites, and in some, her and Odysseus have a very difficult relationship, with, like, mostly, we can assume, like, non-consensual and stuff like that produces kids, that produces all these different kinds of problems, because she essentially does sort of marry him in a really weird way, even though he is already married. But the general consensus of all that is that he's miserable, he doesn't want to be there. He goes to the beach every day and he cries, like begging to go home, and he's there for about 7 years. Time works very differently on the island than it does out in the mortal world, so I don't even know if he was very aware of how much time he spent there, but it's been a fat minute, and she's not really willing to let him go until, Athena goes to Zeus and, like, begs him to let him go so that he can go back home because he has shit to deal with. Zeus finally lets him go. Calypso still not really wanting him to leave, but, she kind of gets threatened a little bit, like, if you don't let this man go right now, we're gonna...
You want these problems? You don't want me to smoke right now.
I'm gonna fuck your shit up.
No, for real.
But no, at the end, he does end up being able to leave the island, and he finds his way back out at sea. He still doesn't make it home at that point, because he stops off at another island, because, of course.
This is Circe? Or
no,
which
Circe
one
was the very beginning. So the last island he stops at, it is a very isolated little city, but it's full of riches. It is, like, their ports are excellent, so a lot of gold, lapis, lazuli, just very, very rich in general. And that's when Odysseus gets to tell his story, but it kind of like folds in on itself. So we're learning the Odyssey, we're talking about it. That's kind of Odysseus explaining his story without really explaining who he is, because, man's a liar. He's not going to tell you who he is straight up. He's going to make you work for it first, make you feel a little bit bad, get some foot rubs, whatever. Sure. Yeah. He's had a hard time,
Understandable.
But he stops there afterwards. But Calypso's island as a whole, it's, I think, one of the darker periods for Odysseus. I mean, he's gone through a lot at this point, like 10 years in Troy fighting this stupid war that he wanted really nothing to do with. He thought it was dumb, because, everyone is dumb except him, at least in his mind a little bit. He knows he's smart. Having to deal with that, and, like, Ithaca, from where, Troy would be, it's not very long at all. I think it's like a couple weeks journey. So you can kind of imagine, like, you're so close to home, and then somebody says something stupid, and then, windbag, you're out.
Yeah. No.
Another 10 years at this, and 7 of those years were spent with Calypso. So, like, the whole of that is really all that time spent there. So that is...
right, apply that to the human now.
Yeah.
Like, because I know what I was navigating, but it's very much of, like, surrender.
Yeah.
And detachment, but also, like, having patience.
Yeah.
And being like, all right, we're here until they say I'm not. And I'm like, am I ready to get back into the water? And they're like, no.
And it's a different kind of patience, too. And, like, because we made you aware of where you were at that point, you did understand that, like, at some point, somebody is going to let me go, or, like, something divine or whatever it is. When I learn this lesson, then I'll be able to leave.
Yeah.
He didn't really have that. That was just kind of like, oh, fuck, I'm stuck here.
Right.
That is phenomenal. That's great. My son's like 20 years old now. Haven't seen him since he was a baby. But with you in particular, the lessons that we were kind of going over when we were talking about it, the isolation was a big part of it, because that is that bigger time for self-reflection. That's that bigger time for really looking back at everything that you have been through at that point to really bring you to that point in time, whether that was a, you know, natural consequence of whatever you were doing that landed you there, because, you know, it's supposed to be a punishment. It's not like, it's supposed to be a natural consequence of something. It's not supposed to last forever, but you don't know that.
Right.
And like, what kind of lessons are you going to learn while you're here? How are you going to help yourself get out of the situation? And how, especially, do you make the best of the situation that you're in? Because Odysseus sat on the beach and he cried for 7 years. That's definitely a way to deal with it, and it's healthy to cry. It's healthy for men to cry.
1,000%.
Yeah,
1,000%. Get it, let it out.
Let it out. But one of the bigger things that like Homer talked about in the Odyssey as well was that as soon as Odysseus was given the, you know, go ahead to leave, he immediately went to work. He built the boat, he built everything that he needed for it, he got new clothes, he gathered food and water, was already starting to figure out the navigation back to Ithaca just right away. I don't think he really took like breaks in between. Like he knew what he needed to do afterwards, and he took advantage of that moment, and he left immediately and didn't look back. And that's kind of that situation that you find yourself in. It's like, let yourself feel the pain, let yourself, you know, take accountability, let yourself maybe even enjoy the island just a little bit while you get this kind of break in between. But as soon as you get that opening that, you know, you did what you needed to do, you need to go.
Yes.
Get what you need, take all the lessons you learned from there, because you're going to need them again when you get to this next island. And you also need to be able to, you know, cross the sea again, because the sea is already not your friend.
Right. You will die.
Usually it is. Usually the sea is your friend, but at this exact point in time, it's like, it's kind of tossing you around a little bit, so you need to know how to sail just a little bit more. But you got a brand new boat now, so you're good.
Big dog. Big dog energy. No, but I remember that was like that was such a crazy transition of just being in there, because it was just like, oh, I'm here because I realized I've gone against myself, and that was the karmic consequence of being like, you're overextending, so here's just the fuck down. Reevaluate yourself. And it was like, oh god. And then it was like 7-year cycle, 7-year thing ended, and then it's just like navigating that of being like, okay, what is it like to really choose you, love you, and be like, this is empowering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, self-love. Woo.
It's self-love, and it's also community as well, because Odysseus never really did a lot of things for himself whenever he was doing this. This is why he's considered to be like the most like heroic of the heroes, even, you know, compared to like Heracles and Perseus. When we think of, you know, the greatest Greek heroes that ever lived, we think of Odysseus and the Odyssey, because everything that a hero is, he represents. And that was one of the bigger things in the story too, when comparing him and his son Telemachus, was, you know, Telemachus is kind of being a whiny bitch right now. You know what Odysseus is not doing? That.
He's not concerned about it. He already did the emotional
He dug himself
work.
a hole and he's sleeping in it, but he's you know, he's got his goals in mind, and he knows exactly how to execute them.
1,000%.
He makes the best choices for the crew at the time. Like, even if this decision is hard, we know what we need to do to get out of here, even if that means making some sacrifices. It's not blaming the gods for the situation that you are in, because, you know, the gods, they see everything that's going on. They know what's going to happen, but they're not in control of what happens to you.
Right.
That's just kind of fate. And if you constantly sit around blaming the divine, blaming the gods for everything bad happening in your life, you stay stagnant, you don't learn, and you take no accountability whatsoever. And that's not very heroic.
No.
And that's something that Telemachus was doing. It's also taking charge as well. If people are insulting you, people are taking up your time, draining from you, and like taking all your resources, and like, you know, trying to bang your wife, whatever, suitors, then you need to be able to, you know, you need to be able to have a plan in mind on getting them out. Like, no mercy at that point. And that was big for that as well. Telemachus wasn't doing that. He was just kind of sitting around being bullied by everyone. And, you know, that's when Athena finally had to like come down and was like, all right, little bitch boy, let's get up. You want to be like your daddy? Time to fight something.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
time to learn.
For war.
Yeah, then he went on his own journey, and he sailed, and he went to, get news of his father, if he was alive or not, learn about him, because at this point he hasn't seen him since he was an infant.
Right.
Probably doesn't remember, and all he gets is his mother's stories, but she's locked up in her room all day.
Right.
So he gets to figure out how to be a hero from other people and how they've seen him handle situations. And Telemachus is able to come back and be able to start representing that a little bit more, to kind of go into that princely role that he was born into. And then he was able to help Odysseus when he finally made it back home, to take out the suitors and then regain control of the palace again.
Word. So, like, if somebody is like, yo, I want to see what story or tale applies to me, like, how would you tell them to go about that?
I would usually like to ask them what are your own childhood stories that you really connected with, because all this is also very culture based as well. A lot of the same repeating stories, just with different fonts, and that goes across all different cultures. So if you were raised in a different part of the world or a different country, you're going to have a different story with different heroes, and you're able to look back on that. But I also know that in today's climate, a lot of people are very culturally disconnected from themselves, and most of the stories that they grew up with are probably like Grimm's fairy tales or anime, which also still follow along a lot of those mythological points as well, but you don't make that connection right then and there.
No.
So I would usually recommend look into your family stories first and see what's there. If you can't find anything, Greek mythology is one of the better ones, because there's a lot more access to those than there is really other kinds of stories. If that's still not working for you, just do your best, and what really connects with the heart. Folklore is also really great for that, because mythology as a whole, it's very, I don't want to say country based, because that's not quite the right word for it. It's these encapsulate civilizations, cities, entire very large groups of people, while folklore and stuff like that is very centered in a smaller community with smaller stories, smaller monsters, whatever it is, but they still have just as big of an impact. So you can go look there as well and just follow the same plot lines with that.
Word. It's so cool. I just love it. And what would you say the collective is navigating right now?
Oh dear God.
Right. If we could what are we doing?
I think,
where are we?
I think the bigger collective, right now at least, it's still very much the fall of Troy. Everything's burning.
Everything's on fucking fire.
Everything sucks. It's very hard to
Everything sucks.
Everything sucks. People are dying. The fucking horse is on fire.
So much going on. The fire horse energy is really commencing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe that one is the best one that I can think of at the moment to kind of really put everything together. But people are so very, very unique in their situations. The storyline kind of follows the same leads, but it's very unique in how people deal with it. And I think the identification of people going through their own stories helps. Because when you are going through these stories, you're kind of healing the mythology as well as healing yourself. It changes the frequency of how we take in these stories and how we decide to put them out into the world and then help other people through it. That's why history is so important when it comes to, looking at the faults that we are, being put through now, and then being able to put them to a face. Sometimes people get a little discouraged when we constantly look back on real events that had happened. Because then it's we're just doing the same shit over and over again, and then people start feeling down, hopeless, they can't do anything about it. But when you look at stories, you have heroes, you have gods, you have monsters, you have all these these bigger entities that are controlling the story and that are navigating it forward. And if you can see yourself in a position of being a hero, it kind of restores a little bit of that faith and a little bit of that strength in you. Because if you're going through this hard time, and you think of yourself as a hero going through it instead, and that this thing at work is this task, or my asshole boss is this monster.
That's pushing me to evolve and to grow. And
exactly.
Got it.
And it uses your imagination as well, and it really kind of kickstart that, so that you can live beyond just normal, like, day-to-day. You actually get to feed that inner child a little bit, feed that divinity that we have in all of us, and being able to recognize ourselves as heroes, recognize ourselves as, magic users, and as, demigods of sorts, of being able to just kind of push ourselves forward. And that restores personal power as well. And once that personal power is restored, you can bring that back to community, especially if a whole of a community is able to tie themselves to a certain story or to a certain hero, then everyone is in on it. Then everyone is able to build up past that.
And you can make candles for these heroes, right?
I can.
Because I'm like, what a better way to connect, to be like, and also that's what I would recommend is, like, if you're like, oh, I'm genuinely curious, like, who's working with me, like, Elena's the best person to go ask, because they be talking to her and be like, hey, this is me.
Exactly.
Tell them this is what they need to do. This is how they're going to navigate. Who's the messenger? How can we work with Hermes? And all of that. So I think it's just so cool being able to apply our situations or the problems that we're navigating into the story and be like, oh, okay, yeah, like, I'm a hero who's just navigating this part of the arc. It's like, oh,
exactly.
Okay. We're just climbing the mountain. Like,
yeah, and sometimes we also have to be able to see ourselves in villains as well. This was something that I was talking with a client not too long ago either. We also have to be able to have a good balance. Otherwise, we do kind of develop that, that God complex, that hero complex, that we constantly need to be saving people, that we need to be in this constant state of motion all the time, or that, we can't do wrong because we're the hero. I like to humble people a little bit. It's like, actually in this story, you're kind of being a dick right now.
Right. Actually, you think you're on this side,
it's
but
like, I think you're the Antinuous of this story
I
really
think
quick.
You're this one.
But it's not bad. It's just another archetype to kind of go through. And we have to, and that's kind of where shadow work goes in with all of this, is that we can both be the hero and the villain, or we can just be a bard. Like, there are so many levels that we can be doing with this, but we have to acknowledge every part of ourselves, acknowledge every part of our story and our history and where we come from, in order to be able to, climb higher than where we're already at. Because, most of us, like, even just genetically, we have not so great people in our DNA, and that kind of makes us have a little bit of a complex about it. It hurts our ego to think that there's a part of us that has hurt people, that has done really, really bad things, and it's learning how to not take it personally, that we are not these monsters, that we are not these hurt people, we are not these hurt experiences, even if they've kind of ingrained themselves in us. Their job there as ancestors is to kind of guide us along and help us out through our journey, whether it's positive or negative, and that's something that you taught me. But that really helps out with the story aspect of it as well. Like, if you see yourself kind of in this villain arc of sorts, maybe try to, like, figure out why you're in the story, why you are this certain character, and what did this villain need to learn at this point in time. Like, why are they doing this? And then figure out, like, well, I'm not like that. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to do that. I have been wronged. Like, what is mine is not mine anymore, or I was never given the attention or the love or the fame that I needed or I had earned at that time, and being able to resonate with it a little bit, feel it, maybe do some villainous things. I don't know. Don't set a building on fire, but you can do something.
Yeah, be in your villain arc.
Exactly.
Crash out. Fuck it.
Crash out a little bit.
Do what you need to do.
But
and
then get out
take
of it.
Accountability.
Yeah.
And say, okay, hurt people.
Yeah, but also not using that as an excuse either. People use that way too much.
Too much.
Hurt people, yes, but you also just made yourself very aware that hurt people, so now what are you doing? It's one thing if you are unaware of it and somebody makes you aware. It's very different. But if you go about life knowing, like, oh, I know exactly how I've been wronged, and this is what they did, and this is what I'm doing because of it. Okay, so you already have the ground map to, like, do something about it.
Fix that shit.
You can change.
1000%.
You already gave yourself the space to change, and if you're not doing it, then you're kind of proving to people at that point that you want to be there in some sort of way.
Yeah,
and that's not okay. It's hard, but you can absolutely do it. No one is ever truly stuck in that kind of situation, especially if you are hurting others.
Yeah.
You can't change your environment. You can't change what people do to you, but how you react and how you decide to go about it, that's what really matters, and that's how you can become a hero, because heroes take accountability of that. Heroes see their part and are able to know the path that they're on, choose to be better.
Like if I had a horn, I'd be going off like that was a fucking preach, bitch, preach. No, that shit is so like it's just so dope, and I think it just gives people food for thought of being able to like. It's also the perspective change of being able to see things like Hangman, like see shit from a different perspective, put yourself in other people's shoes, see it from that view, and then apply it to the things that are happening, and it just helps that healing be so much more introspective and like whole rather than being like, oh, let me look at this one piece and I'll look at this piece later. It's like no, look at the whole mirror, the whole image that's being shown, and then you can do something about it. See where the parts fit in it. Yep, exactly. Well, tell the people like what you got going on, how they can reach you, you know, to continue the discussion and pick your brain, because like we could go forever talking about these things. Honestly, we can. I have before. Yeah, exactly. Best way to get a hold of me nowadays is through my Instagram, Makeshift Oracle, because I use whatever I have lying around. It's cool. It's very thrifty. I love it. As you should. Next project that we got coming up, I am doing a fashion show over at Void Studios on June 14th, I believe. It's going to be super cool. I've done one fashion show already. It was Rebellion 2.0 Ice Out. So it was really to help bring attention to, you know, what's going on with, you know, ice and how we can give back to the community and give back to people that have been personally affected by ice and the immigrants that are, you know, being targeted during this time. And for that particular show, I did a series of gods. So each of my models represented a different Olympian. And with the sigil work that I do, I charged up and blessed all of the clothes. And so they were able to walk with the thread of energy that you know, deity is tied to. And it was all so very, cool. So cool. It all had something to do with, you know, parts of these different kinds of problems. So like Hermes was very like medical malpractice and how, you know, the healthcare system really fucks us up, and, you know, how it's so much cheaper to die than to live. You know, bringing him into that. Aries really represented those children that are being kept in these, you know, detention centers and stuff like that, and how, you know, violence against children, whether it's here in the United States or out in different countries, how all that collective anger and anguish kind of comes together. And we think of war as very, you know, like, pew pew. But it's very psychological to begin with it. And if you're going to start a war, you start off by picking off the artists first. And then you pick off children, you pick off the vulnerable. You don't go for the higher ones first. You make sure that there's nothing for people to fall back onto. And that's kind of what Aries had represented, not as the one who's starting it, but as, you know, a god of war who finds honor, and it's no longer being able to find honor in the blood of children. You know, kind of just like that's kind of the basis of what these clothes were kind of based off of. And this time around, I'm doing monsters and their heroes. So each hero is going to be paired up with their respective monster, but it's going to kind of flip the switch on a little bit. I can't talk about it all too much because I got to leave some stuff for you know, the show itself. Give us it all. But, you know, Odysseus is going to be a part of it, and we're bringing in Circe as well. I was thinking about Calypso, but I feel like people would not quite get that one as much as Circe, but it's still an island, and, you know, maybe even something you'll find that you'll connect with personally as well. Go Calypso. Go Calypso. We G's now. You know. Depending on the story. Yeah, you know, at first it was a hate. I was like, Calypso. We have some beef with, you know, other different tellings, but general consensus, it's fine. You know, when people you like accept the Joker, it for what it is, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's people like the Joker, we can like Calypso, it's fine. Exactly. It's the balance. Okay, the balance. You get it. Don't be misogynist. No. But you said Instagram, Makeshift Oracle. Yeah. And then do you want them to pop up in person? Yeah, so we have a metaphysical store down in Littleton, Lightning Horse, the Healing Ground. That's where you'll be able to find me most days, and that's where I also sell my candles. We also do have, you know, like tarot cards, crystals, readers, basically anything that you'll need for your practices. We also do try to host like drum circles and stuff like that during full moons and new moons.
classes, stuff like that. We're getting everything together so that we can start like this new period of life as well. Try to rejuvenate some old stagnant things and stuff like that. But it is a very very welcoming community, very welcoming shop. We look forward to seeing anybody who'd like to stop by and see what we can possibly do for you and have these discussions with you as well.
Yes, the shop has come full circle in the energy and like the rebirths and the deaths and the cleansing and the feng shui that's been done. Like the shop has gone through a tremendous change along with the people in it. So it's a douchey guy. But yeah, I would definitely recommend going to check out the shop. Sometimes I'm there. I used to be there a lot more often, but like, you know, just request me and I'll be there pretty much. Unless we do a fair, which we should do a fair soon. But I want to just thank you for coming in again and just like giving your knowledge about like folklore and mythology and the Greek gods and all that stuff, and just helping people to see that there's alternatives basically when it comes to applying yourself and the things that you're navigating into the stuff that we already have been told. Yeah. And that's been here. So yeah, thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Yes. And then as far as for me, you guys know you could reach me on Instagram at Ransom LLC. And if you want to be a guest, you can just send me an email at expansionsransom@outlook.com or just send me a message on Instagram. Either one is fine. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.